Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
And they're off. Good morning, Bill.
How are you this morning, Pete?
I'm all right. You?
Episode number 126.
Okay.
I'm doing okay. Got some sinus stuff going on, so if I sound a little nasally, then it's just because
you sound better today than yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday was a rough day, but I've been pumping myself with vitamins, and I think everything will be just fine today. Why 100 could be the best number when making offers to buy houses. What do you think, Peter? The number 100.
100,000?
No.
100 cents?
No.
100 days?
What would you do if you were not afraid to fail? What a concept, huh?
Not afraid to fail.
What would you do if you were not afraid to fail?
I'm listening. I think I know where you're going, but I'll humor you. Go ahead.
You'll humor me.
I'll humor you.
Oh, jeez.
Well, I don't want to blow the show.
I feel like I'm going out to dinner with my wife. She's going to humor me and say, "Yes, Bill, you can have a steak, but no cigar. You can't smoke cigars around my wife." It takes many people different lengths of time, usually 3 months to 3 years, before the fog of the ordinary really clears and things become clear and the path is seen. Here on Planet Bill. How's that, Peter? The fog of the ordinary.
The fog of the ordinary what? Keep talking. We're listening.
Well, okay. For some, the fog never clears and stays thick around them. If you're starting from scratch and possibly have trouble wrapping your head around all the real estate moving parts and the math, today's podcast is perfect for you. This episode is going to teach you how to use 100, one number. 100 is the one number that you need to make your deals. Getting this clear and simple could be one of the best things you could do in your career. Could be one of those things that will get you going and get you to the bank to make deposits. Real estate profits. So let's burn off some fog, Peter.
Okay.
Do you agree? Do you agree with me? First of all, I want to clear it up. Do you agree with me? How many times do we go to a meetup?
Yeah.
We have, 20, 30 people, whatever we have there, 18 people, whatever we have there. And they come in and they're like in a real estate fog.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to do this and they're going to do that. And they're telling us how they're going to make money.
Which they haven't.
I'm going to wholesale.
Yeah, I love
I'm going to wholesale.
Good luck.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm gonna buy on the MLS. I'm gonna this. I'm gonna
flip
that.
them.
Yeah, I'm gonna flip them.
But how do you do it though?
Inevitably, one of the things that happens is that and this is becoming like a fog lifting for me on the other end, that a lot of people just don't know how to find deals.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the first part of it, but they don't know. I mean, marketing can be weird.
Yeah.
Selling things.
Okay.
Having a product.
All right.
How do you get it out there? How do you get seen? How do you get noticed? Getting seen is easy. Noticed is not always easy, right?
Right.
How do you find them? Sure.
Or convert.
What do you mean convert?
So it's one thing to get somebody's attention.
Oh, you're using
it's
fancy
another
words.
thing. It's another thing to get them to do a call to action.
Actually do something. Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
In fact, this is so clear to me right now, that I'm going to actually do something that I don't like to do. And that's put my ass on the line. Now, normally when I talk, I feel like I know what I'm talking about. Because if I don't know what I'm talking about, then I just kind of hush up.
Yeah. That's my secret of never being wrong.
Just don't say something you don't understand.
No, if I'm wrong, I shut up. The trick is knowing when you're wrong.
Exactly. But I've decided that somehow, some way, I'm going to write another book. I'm in the middle of writing a book now. I actually have 2 books started. One of them is off. I did it with recordings, and it's off to the transcriber. So I'll have that out in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But this book is, a lot of my writings is for people that want to learn how to invest in real estate. So I work with newbie investors or investors that want to go to the next level, or investors that want to like increase their income. And I'm really good at that because I'm a marketing guy. Mm-hmm. So I know how to find leads. And then of course, I haven't invented the 7 ways to buy deals, but what I have done is I've broke it down so depending on their loan to value ratio, you know which offer to make based on the equity.
Yeah, but that's huge though.
That's like my call to fame.
Because you look at a piece of property, and go, what do I do with it?
Right.
When you realize there's a number of options, what you can do with it, like which one do I pick? Having the loan to value ratios, you have a roadmap.
Right. So I decided that I need to write a book for my sellers.
That's right.
And so far I've conjured up some sort of a name, which I don't know if this is going to be the name of the book, but it's going to be something like this: 7 ways to sell your house other than a realtor.
Mm. Yeah.
And then I'm just going to write I don't want to call it a sales page, but I'm going to write descriptions of ways that they could sell their house without the conventional system.
Mm.
And just give them options.
But you can't tell them the entire story because they would go do it without you then.
No, these are sellers.
Yeah.
I don't care if they do it without me.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because sooner or later they aren't going to know. I mean, all I'm going to do is just tell them. It's not going to be anything. I'm not going to tell them how to do it. I'm going to tell them what to do.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I've been thinking of that too because when we call people and talk to them and we explain some of these offers, sometimes they look at us like it got 4 heads.
Right.
Like they've never heard of such things when these are not unusual. They've been done before many times. Even my realtor or my broker, who's become a car mechanic owner, knew this years and years ago. And I thought he didn't know any of this stuff, like old traditional, but it's not made up.
Right.
So if there was such a thing, it would certainly give it credence.
Right. So I'm going to write a small book,
Mm-hmm.
that 7 ways to sell your house, probably quickly. I didn't put that in there before. Quickly, without a realtor.
Imagine the pressure that would take off people when they're stuck with a house and they're thinking, the realtor said he can't sell my house.
Right.
It's a mess, or it's a pretty house and I still can't sell it.
Well, one of the big things that I've noticed recently is that most people, when they say, I want to sell a house, they don't have choices.
Oh, yeah.
So now we're going to give them 9 choices.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's 7 ways that we can buy,
Mm-hmm.
and then they can sell with a realtor, or they can sell on their own. So that's 9 choices.
Right.
Right.
It's like 9 lives.
Yeah, 9 lives. There you go. Anyways, so first, let's cover what is considered ordinary real estate investing.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say that most people are in the fog of ordinary investing, let's talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So isn't this correct? And we've covered this on other shows, but isn't this correct that the norm is find a distressed house?
Yep.
Right? You find a distressed house. Even my wife tells me all the time. I mean, this is my wife's education on real estate. Find the ugly house in pretty neighborhood and buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So find the distressed house. Right?
You mean the one that everybody else sees?
Yeah. That's number 1. Number 2, buy the house, which, by the way, is usually done with personal guarantees. So if you pay $100,000 for the house, you're responsible for the $100,000. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You're personally guaranteeing it.
Right.
Okay. And then you have to fix the house. Right? And then you have to sell the house for a profit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, we could do the whole show just on those 4 pieces. So sell the house for a profit. Sell the house for a profit. How do you do that?
without formulas.
How do you do that?
Mm.
I mean, we were talking yesterday. Or I was talking to you yesterday about I think we've got 2 or 3 closings going on right now, right? And the things that pop up, right? Like we were talking about what happened to me with the house in my house in Meriden.
Yeah, with the water.
Yeah. So I have a closing when I buy it, right? And they give me a credit for $1,600
For water.
Because there was a water heater leaking in the basement, and it was like going down and it wasn't noticed. It was like going down into a crack, and then blah blah blah, right?
Yeah, but somebody sees the bill and doesn't notice or doesn't care. That's the stupid part.
So obviously I buy the house, and the first thing I do is I put a hot water heater in and I fix the problem. But I get a credit when I buy the house, and this is my own stupidity, by the way, because I didn't comb over the settlement statement the way I normally do. Because when I borrowed money, I borrowed a little extra money, which I always do for holding costs. Right? I always take an extra $5,000.
Sure.
Right? So, which, by the way, I mean, I bought the house at a really good price. Okay? So now what happens is the water company misspells the street name of my billing address. I go like 10 months, right? And I don't get a water bill.
Lucky you.
Like out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
So I'm getting ready for a closing, and I'm going through, and I'm like, I never paid a water bill. So I go to the water company. Long story short, what happened was when I bought the property, there was a $1,600 water bill, and because the bill doesn't come out, I bought the property like in the end of January, beginning of February. Because the bill didn't come out till March, they wouldn't allow the attorney to pay the bill, so they gave me a credit and told me, and nobody told me that I needed to pay it in March. I didn't pay attention, one or the other.
Yeah.
So now here I am, getting ready to do a closing, and I got a $2,700 water bill. Right, because I had the $1,600 and change, plus I had two other quarters that I didn't pay, that I didn't know about.
That still sounds like a lot, like $1,100 in water.
Well, that's because the hot water heater was leaking.
Right, but I mean, since then, it was fixed, right?
Yeah, but it's 3 other quarters. Right, so it's a few $100s a quarter. It is a lot.
Yeah.
Point is this: sell for a profit. Because now all of a sudden there's $3,000 or just about $3,000 snuck into my profit, right? And I didn't realize it,
right?
And as good as I am with the paperwork, and as good as I am, I still have trouble like that on closings.
There's a lot of details.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, I mean, you own a house and you have a problem. You call the problem to fix, and the person that fixed that one problem. When you have a whole house you're doing, that's numerous, fix every room, everything, all the plumbing, all the, anything, a lot.
Right.
A lot of parts.
Yeah. So when you're using the usual in the ordinary, right, the exit strategy that you can run, and so let me reword that. So when you're using the ordinary and the usual, like we're talking about as an exit strategy, right, in other words, you need to buy the house, you need to fix it, and you need to sell it for a profit, right? There's things you're going to run into. First thing you're going to run into is that there's too much competition.
Oh, sure. Especially if everybody's seeing what you're seeing.
Right? Because one of the things that we talk about a lot is just what you're saying, is if everybody can see the house, then there's a lot of
it's like going to an auction.
Right.
I've been to car auction. I haven't gone to house auction, but I did car auctions for a while. And retailers show up,
right.
End user buyers show up, and they pay full retail for it.
Right.
And there's a bunch of guys trying to buy it wholesale, and they're looking around like all these buyers, like guy with his wife and kid. Yep, I'll buy it. He pays full price.
So you end up with the novice in the pack.
Yeah.
And the novice brings the price up.
Yep.
Right.
Doesn't pay.
So that's what happens when you're looking at an ugly house in a pretty neighborhood, right? They don't know, and they'll find out. I mean, they'll find out in the end, and especially if they're the end user, then it doesn't matter, because if they stay in the house, they just stay a little bit longer till they get their money back, right?
Yeah, they're in for a house, not profit in their pocket.
Right, which is a lot different.
Yeah.
However, if you do what we're going to talk about a little bit later, then what happens is we hunt for a situation with the people, not a situation with the house.
Right.
So in other words, when a house is ugly, it's a situation with a house, not with the people. Now, there could be a situation with the people, and that's what most investors or novice investors think. Oh, well, the house is vacant and it's been vacant for a year. There's a situation there. Right? There could be that. But I got to tell you, I knew a lady, there was a house next door to my sister some years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, that had a vacant house. And that house was vacant, I'll bet you, 5 years. Come to find out, her mom and dad passed away, and they had 5 of them in Wallingford. And she took her mom and dad's money that they left her and paid the taxes, and the houses just sat there.
5 houses?
All 5 of them were vacant.
Wow. Didn't mind wasting money?
Was sentimental value for her. She couldn't sell the houses.
Sentimental, oh
because
God.
they were her dad's houses.
Okay.
So she took her dad's money.
And what did her dad do in that? Did he rent them?
No, I don't know.
I mean, you have 5 houses, you can't live in 5.
I don't know what happened.
Oh, that's strange.
They were just, that's my point.
Yeah, well,
so not everybody.
Do something with them. It doesn't make sense, but people will do crazy stuff.
All my point is that just because a house is vacant doesn't mean somebody's motivated. Right? All right, so the next thing is, so when you're doing usual and ordinary exit strategy, so too much competition is one of them. You need to have large down payments usually for the investment, 10 or 20% for the banker.
Yep.
Right? Your credit has to be like Mr. Clean, right? It's got to be squeaky clean.
Yep.
Right? Or at least high 6s, low 7s, so you can get a decent rate.
Mm-hmm.
And even at that point, I mean, my daughter's buying a multifamily for me, and she's in the six percentile range for a rate because it's an investment property, which confuses the living crap out of me. I to this day am absolutely, positively perplexed why the banker would put somebody through so much rigmarole on an investment property, other than they're not living in the property. So I think the thought process with Mr. Conservative Banker is that, well, they don't live in the property, so if somebody doesn't pay their rent, they'll just walk away, and we end up with the house.
Isn't that terrible?
I don't know.
I mean, and then they have a house.
Right. So anyway, so you need credit like Mr. Clean. If something goes wrong with the property, when you're using this strategy, you're on the hook, right? Often you need cash for the repairs, because often, like with a lot of my lenders, they'll fund the deal, but then they want you to come up with some money. They want you to have skin in the game.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about at the end of the day. So they'll expect you to do the $20,000 or $30,000 worth of repairs. They'll come up with 130, 140 or whatever, but you got to come up with the repairs, right?
Right.
Holding costs. The disease in the business.
Bill, it's like money down the drain.
Literally.
Because you're not using the house.
Yeah.
And it's just paying electricity and heat and mortgage and whatever's just and water and because.
It's another thing I was bitching to you about yesterday is I spent almost $1,000, $800 or $900 on a house that's been sitting vacant. I put oil in it and I paid the electric bill.
Right. And you're not getting to like sit there, smoke your cigar and enjoy it either, are you?
No, it's a 25 or 2,600 square foot house. That is just sitting there waiting for somebody to come along and do whatever. Right? And then the last one is a lot of times you underestimate the repair cost. That's a huge one.
Yeah. I mean, you're only going to see what you're going to see.
Right.
And you always find something else because you can't see everything.
Right.
There's walls, there's things behind.
Right. So when you're doing the usual and the ordinary, these are things that you're going to run into. Which is why so many people have trouble getting in the business because there's a lot of risk there. Right. So to me, this all adds up to kind of like watching a car accident in slow motion. You're like on the curb, sitting on the bench.
Oh, no.
Waiting for the bus to come by, right? And you watch the car accident in slow motion.
And you try to move out of the way.
Right? And that's what this is like for me. When I see it, that's what it's like for me.
Bill, do you feel sorry for people like that?
Yeah.
You know the one I like the most? Sorry for throwing this in, but last year I caught a bunch of these. They were like 65-year-old guys who had purchased one house at a time with a bank loan.
Yep.
And every 5 or 10 years, they'd buy one more. By the time they're 65, they had 5 houses. And they're pretty much paid, and that was their life strategy.
Right.
They spend a lifetime to buy 5 houses.
Right.
And then they would cash them out, cha-ching.
Yep.
And every one of them could not let go.
Right.
Bad knees or heart attacks, whatever these guys had, they could not let go.
Right.
If I keep it one more year, I can make another 3 Gs.
Right.
And we'd offer them good money, like, I'll wait.
Yeah.
So you're going to wait until you die and leave the problem to your family? I think you said that to somebody once.
Yeah.
So you're going to wait till you can't take care of it and give it to your family to deal with? What? Anyway, that's my favorite real dumbass. Well, it's not a terrible strategy, but you buy 5 houses in a year, or every few months, or in a month if you can get away with it. Not a lifetime.
Right.
Different strategy though.
It's definitely old school strategy.
And they're taking care of every inch of it. They're in there,
Right.
and they're in there like, well, if I paint the counter, it'll look better
Yeah.
for the next tenant, and if I put a rug down over there, it'll cover that hole. Like,
Right.
Jeez, it's really bit and piece in it.
Yeah.
Sorry, my 2 cents.
So this is what I found, that results like this end up with skinny profits.
Mm.
And how many times have you thought, oh, I'm going to make 40,000. I know you did it a couple of your houses. We're going to make this much money.
Mm-hmm.
And it ends up being way lower than that. And you never know till you get to closing.
Yeah, I started giving up and trying to, roughly, but we'll find out.
Yeah, exactly.
You control what you control, and in the end, you get what's left.
So I call that the deal after the deal.
Which part is the deal after the deal?
All of that.
Oh,
You get to the
end.
To the end.
Yeah.
It's like, here's the deal
At the end, yeah,
after the deal.
yeah, that is okay. Now I get it.
So you make this deal, you think you're going to make $40,000, and then you get to the closing where you're going to sell it, and it's like, oh, that's the deal?
Mm-hmm.
I got to pay this, I got to pay that, I got to pay this. Oh, that's the deal after the deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so good.
Hence, formulas and being smart.
Right. So then we talk about how to get the money. So even if you do all that, how do you get the money for this? Right. So we talked about this in episode number 114.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We really went over this. Like we talked about how having there's only really 3 places where you can get money for real estate.
Mm-hmm.
One is the banker.
Yeah.
Right. So the banker is like he lends to you based on your credit score and your
Right.
ability to pay.
Right.
It's a history thing.
Yeah,
So
it's
if
you
you-
personally.
If
It's not
you've
the
had a
house.
little-
It's not the.
little tainted history in the
Yeah,
past.
but they're the ones who take the house, the whole thing. If you screw up,
Right.
it's like they're nervous about what are we gonna do.
Right.
They got a house for 10 cents on the dollar if it's up
Right.
front, and they're worried.
Yeah.
Fear. But they have more fear than I think they have more fear than some of the fearful
Yeah.
investors.
Yeah.
So
And then the second way is you can use hard money, which is really a banker in disguise.
yeah,
Except they get points and they get, they supposedly can lend to you quicker
Hmm.
than a banker because you don't have to go through the bureaucracy of a committee on the bank and all that kind of stuff.
right. But they still want money. They won't give you 100%. They want to
Right.
give you 80 or something like that.
Right. And they check your credit and they do all those other kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Then we have private money.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either hard money or private money. Now, private money is not using, not having points and all that kind of stuff. It's a little bit quicker. That's usually somebody you know. A lot of private money comes from IRAs.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of IRA money out there that you don't know about. And if you do it correctly, you can tap into that IRA money and you can get terms.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then the way we buy mostly is from the buyer.
Right.
So we get our money from the buyer. Now, we tend to mix it because I use private money and I use my buyers. We tend to mix it. I don't use hard money lenders and I don't use bankers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that means for us to buy a house, we either need to buy at a deep discount or we need to have somebody willing to sell us a house have us make all the payments, take care of the house, and pay them when we're ready.
Yeah.
Like in a year or 2 or 3 down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that going to be easy to find? No. Because the way the realtor has posed real estate in the last 70 years is that they will bring the full amount of the asking price to the table with the banker. But there's a tremendous cost to that. You know, it's a 12 to 15% cost to do that,
Right.
especially to the seller.
And when there's no guarantee either, it can take 6 months, 12 months, or sorry, it didn't happen.
Right.
And they just go home.
Right. So it really comes down to how are you borrowing the money to buy this property?
Yeah.
You know, what's your exit strategy? So your exit strategy has a lot to do with it.
Right.
So what we tend to do is we tend to use our buyer's money, which, by the way, that's what the realtor does, right? We use our buyer's money to pay for the house. The difference is that the realtor is promising them that in 6 months, and we're telling them, well, we won't charge you the 12 or 13%, but you have to wait,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you got a $200,000 house, you don't have to pay the $25,000 in closing costs. We'll give you the $200,000, but we need to make payments, and we need to bring our buyer in and let them live in the house and let them actually pay all the expenses, take care of the maintenance, plow the driveway, cut the grass. They actually own the house per se, right? And we're just waiting for them to get qualified for a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's our forte. That's what you and I specialize in. Now, finding those people is not going to be easy because they're hidden. They're not like that ugly house in a pretty neighborhood where you can just drive by and see them.
Mm-hmm.
So what you have to do is you have to have multiple marketing campaigns that are hunting for those people that are willing to do that. And they don't even know they're willing to do that when they call you because they've never heard of that most of the time. So there's an indoctrination period on letting them know that they can get more money, and here's how it works.
Somebody should write a book about that.
Exactly. That's what I'm going to do. You brat. Right? So basically what happens is you and I are in the pretty house business. Right? Now, do we buy ugly houses? Yes.
Well, you do your marketing. It's we're not filtering those out. We could if we wanted to.
Right.
But we don't want to filter that much, so we let them come in. And if it's the right deal at the right time, why not?
Right.
I can tell you a few reasons why not, but if it's the right deal at the right time, you do it.
Right.
And if it's not pretty, it's not pretty. If it's, you can't control that part.
So pretty houses are better types of a better type of a strategy because actually I've written down some benefits here. It's actually a list A to J. It's my A to J.
A to
list.
J.
Yeah.
It's an inside joke.
Yeah. So the first thing about buying pretty houses is that you only need $100 deposit. That's where the $100 comes from.
Right.
And I guess my title isn't too fancy because we don't have too many people watching us today. So I guess it's not understood. And that's exactly what my point is that people don't get the significance of $100.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What a lot of investors don't realize is that if you were on an airplane and you're on the runway, right?
Yeah.
And you're sitting in a window seat, you look outside the window and what do you see? Right? You see the airport and the buildings around the airport, and that's what you see, right?
Yeah. Runway, other planes.
So what are you going to see?
Sometimes you see palm trees, but that's only when you're leaving.
Yeah. So what do you see? 500 feet, 1,000 feet, 15, not very far, right?
Yeah.
Left to right.
Yeah.
Once the airplane takes off and it's 30,000 miles up, what do you see now? It's a whole different thing. You can see a lot more, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's kind of like how my life is, because most people come into my world and they're on the runway just like looking around.
Mm-hmm.
And then I take them on the airplane ride and I get them up so they can look at what's really going on.
So you better not be afraid of heights if you're in Bill's planet.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, I can sit at the window. I'm okay.
You all right?
Yeah.
So here's my point. All right? It's kind of a weird analogy, but here's my point. Most people think they're buying houses.
Mm-hmm.
We are not in the buying houses business. Really.
It's an illusion, huh?
It is. The houses are a way for you to get to what I'm going to talk about. Because if you're really good at the marketing to find the houses,
mm-hmm.
and you're really good at the marketing to sell the houses,
Mhm.
and you do something like a slot deal where you're signing an option
Yeah.
with somebody,
Yep.
and then assigning that option to somebody else,
Yeah.
you're really buying a piece of paper for $100
Mm.
and selling to somebody else for $3, $4, $5, $10,000. You're not buying and selling the house. The deed never went in your name.
You never owned the house.
No.
You controlled it.
Yeah.
$100.
Right. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff, and there's videos on the top of the bottom of the page. Just go down there and watch the slot deal, which is a sandwich lease option transfer, or the option deal, or the lease option deal. Watch any one of those videos, and you'll totally get what I'm saying. But most people think that they want to buy and sell real estate.
Well, that's what you can see. It's a big house on the lot. That's easy to notice.
Right.
Seeing a piece of paper, much smaller.
Pretty house business, you're actually buying and selling the paper.
Mm.
Which, if you think about it, that's what the big banks do.
Oh, yeah.
That's what the government does. The
They're
government...
making money on the money.
the
They don't
govern-
actually buy the house, do they?
No,
They're just making money lending the house for the money.
but they control it.
Yeah. And they're just playing with the money.
So let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try not to go off on a tangent on this because I tend to.
How many minutes am I going to give you?
Not many.
2. Go.
Yeah. So the government, by our Constitution, is not allowed to print paper money. So they came up with this, back in 1901 or 1904, whatever, the Creature from Jekyll Island. You read the book and it'll tell you.
Mm-hmm.
They came up with this idea where they created this thing called the Federal Reserve,
Mm-hmm.
right, which is privately owned. So the government calls
Wait a
up,
minute. It's called federal.
yeah, that's for that reason.
Oh.
So the government calls up and says, we want $1 billion. The Federal Reserve prints $1 billion, and they give it back to the government. Well, how does the government circulate that into the population?
I know.
Go ahead.
Mortgages.
And now college loans.
Oh, the college loans too.
That's bigger than
Yeah, because you never
mortgages.
think of that. You know, people have heard that they just print the money, but what do you think they would just go hand it out? Hey, you know what? I wish they'd hand it out to me, but
Right.
no.
So here you have a person or a bank who's printing money, right? It's just paper,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody comes along and says, I want to borrow some of that paper
Mm-hmm.
so I can go buy a house. Which, by the way, on mortgages, page 38, because there's 37 documents in most mortgages, page 38, they attach a form that says that they can get a 10-to-1 ratio. So if you're borrowing $100,000, the bank puts this 38 page on there, and they get $1 million back.
From Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac,
Right,
all those guys.
those guys. Those
10
that's
to 1.
circulate. That's a circulation.
So it's paper
of
in the
money.
first place, and they get 10 times that in the second place, and it looks just like the real money, or is it any of it real?
So there you go.
Nice deal.
So the bank is buying and selling paper, right?
And they're all tight ass about it.
Yeah.
Tight ass, like, oh my God, they didn't pay the mortgage 3 months. Oh my God, look what we're losing. Not only will they take the house back and for half the price they put in or less, but they have all that other money sitting around.
Right.
Bill, I'm mad as hell.
Yeah. So that's why sometimes you'll see houses. I mean, I can't tell you the last couple houses I bought from banks. They sat around for 3-4 years. I actually had trouble with the houses because the cities, before they'll turn on the water, before they turn on the electric, before they turn on the gas, you actually have to pay someone to come in and do an inspection because the house sat so long and they know people fiddle with houses and steal copper and all those. They don't want to turn the water on and have a house flood.
Sure.
Or they don't want to turn on the electricity and have the house flood.
Just another problem from the prior problem.
Right. Because the banks just sit on them. Why do they sit on them? Because it's not money to them. It's fake.
Well, they're not realtors.
Right. So basically, we're in the pretty house business. We're buying and selling paper. We're not buying and selling houses. So if you learn how to and learn what an option agreement is, then my life is a lot easier. Because I'll show you how to use the option agreement multiple ways where you can actually control property, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not actually physically own the property. So there's no risk. You put up your $100. The deed's not in your name, but you control the property. And that's it. So if you have to walk away, what happens? Yeah, you get some people mad at you, but you're not in court. You're not dealing with foreclosure. You're not dealing with all the risks. You're not dealing with all the problems. You're dealing with the problem of the seller and maybe the problem of the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do the paperwork correctly, which is what I'm really good at, you don't have to worry about that. So if you're really good at your marketing and you can find your seller, and then go find a buyer for that seller, and you put the two of them together, and you use the right paperwork, that's what you're doing. You're making money shuffling paperwork. And I don't know if I could stand on top of the church in the center of town and yell that loud enough, because people don't get it. So they hear, how do you buy money without any, how do you buy real estate without any money down? That's how.
Mm-hmm.
You don't buy the real estate. You just control it.
And $100 isn't money. That's lunch.
Right.
Lunch for 4.
Right. So you only need $100, right? There's no risk because you're just using the $100, like I just said, right? And it's only paper. It's not real estate. It's just only paper, right? There's no credit. I've never had anybody ask me for my credit.
No, people in those situations, they're in trouble with a house, or they got a situation where you're telling them that you have a way to fix it that no one else has said. They're not going to ask you questions. They're going to say, thank you.
Right.
What do we do next?
There's no landlord obligations, because even when we sell on a lease with an option to purchase, we set up the paperwork that they do the maintenance, they service the furnace, they change the smoke detector batteries, right? They do everything. They shovel the sidewalk, they cut the grass, they own the house.
Well, they're planning on buying it shortly, so they have the mindset, this is our house.
So all you are is the intermediary bank, right? That's all you are. And it's only on paper.
Yeah.
Because you never purchased a house, right?
That's right.
The best part about these deals is you get money now, you get money monthly, and then you get money later. So the money now is the deposit money. So if I buy an option agreement for $100 and I sell it for $10,000, how much am I getting now?
$9,900.
Right.
Sure.
To do what? Good marketing.
Yeah.
And know how to fill out the form.
Yeah, and the cost, a few signs.
Right.
Some free marketing because it's internet now.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So, my train of thought back. So money now. So you get the deposit. You get the $9,900 right now.
Right.
Then you get money monthly. So if the mortgage payment's $1,400 and you're collecting $1,700, that's $300 a month.
Sure.
It's $36,000 a year. That's $15,000 over the course of 5 years.
Sure.
Right.
And even if you leave a lot of that in the account just in case something happens, you're not worrying at night, geez, what if something happens? You got money to cover that.
Right. You use part of that $9,000 to cover the expenses.
Yeah.
If something happens.
Yeah.
So far I've got $9,900 plus I got $15,000, we'll say, for the money now. So that's
money monthly.
Money monthly, I mean.
Yeah.
So that's $25,000. And then we still have the equity because I paid $150,000 for a $175,000 property. So I'm thinking there's almost $50,000 in a deal like that. And this is pretty common. Actually, these numbers are low. This is pretty common for a $100 investment.
When you first told me about this years ago, when you first started doing it, I was just like on a phone call. Like, it wasn't like explain. I'm thinking, he's got to wait that long to get his money.
Right.
Little did I know, that's the best way to do it, because you don't do one deal and wait.
Right.
You do a deal every one you can get. Money now, another money now, another money now, and then multiple money monthly, then down the road, cha-ching. It's like having a savings account.
So if you work for
and
2 years or 5 years, do you think that it's possible that if you really worked and really hustled and you bought, say, I don't know, 5 houses a year, 4 houses a year? Say it's 3 houses a year. You bought 1 every quarter. 3, 4 houses a year.
Yeah. 4.
Right?
Yeah.
And it was this type of a deal. You make $40,000 extra in a year. Say you're making $300 a month, so that's $1,200 a month extra. So that's $15,000 a year.
Yep.
Right? So that's $55,000 you just made.
Yep.
Right? And then you got whatever equity in the back end.
But you keep doing that, you wind up with 20 houses.
So year 2, now you do $40,000 times is now $80,000 in cash now. Instead of $12,000 a year or $15,000 a year positive cash flow, now it's 25 or 30. And instead of having $100,000 worth of equity, now it's $200,000 worth of equity.
Yeah, and the second year you could cash out 1 or 2 of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That's doing 4 houses a year.
Yeah.
But it might take you all year to find those 4 houses.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Unless you do some of the things that we talk about.
Mm.
Right? Best part about these deals is when you're doing them, there's no or very low competition. When we're sitting in the house, who else is in there making offers?
Oh, nobody.
Right? Or
No.
they're talking to somebody else, but it's usually somebody like the realtor.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do a good job of explaining your benefits and what you bring to the table, and if you know what you're doing correctly, then you'll beat everything that they want.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, I've seen it. If they're halfway smart at all.
So really, you're in the marketing business
Mm.
because you need to find that seller and you need to find that buyer, like I said before. Right? Here's the best part. This is going to ring Peter's ears. Peter's going to light right up now like a Christmas tree.
What color are they right now? Let's see how my ear color changes.
When you do these deals, you can do them within 30 days.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, honestly, I got really wrapped up in a couple of houses, renovating, going slow, and doing some of the. I can landscape and just taking time, and it worked out fine. It's beautiful. We get the money in 2 weeks, but I didn't spend time in the other ones. The one thing that saved my my concerns are like, well, as soon as I'm done, I can flip one of those houses with Bill and do it in 30 days. Right. You know, because it is really quick. I've seen you do it. 5 weeks, 6 weeks. So it's not like 6 months on a flip.
Right.
Where if you don't have any in the pipeline, it's like next year you'll get something, and I can't wait that long for something to happen. So that's really a huge saving grace.
Right.
Especially you starting this business. When you want your money to come in, and you want to put a bunch of money in and wait 6 months to a year to get it back,
right.
Or don't put very much money in and get something back and then do it again,
right.
and do it again.
Right.
Yeah, that's much smarter.
And all this happens with a whopping $100.
$100. I've seen you before. Aren't you $100 Bill?
Yeah, there you go. So here's the real reason why number 100 is so important, and we're going to end off with that. Okay? You turn the page. So number one, it's a A to F list. So number one, or A.
Billy said we're going to end off with this. It's 2 pages.
Yeah. No, it's only 1 page.
Okay.
This is the introduction of the...
All right, here we go.
So you're all set now?
Uh-huh,
We're back
thanks.
down to 1 page.
Okay.
So check this out. Here's the benefits of 100. Okay? You can find a pretty house to buy with less than $100 in marketing.
Yeah.
Because you could,
Yeah, I did it.
you could call FSBOs.
Yeah.
You go on my site, flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff, and there's a FSBO script there.
And it costs you
FSBOs
zero.
are for sale by owners.
0.
So it costs you some time. You get on there, you use the script, and you can go make appointments.
Mm-hmm.
Look what my coaching client Randy did. We had her on here a few weeks ago, right? She got on the phone, started calling for sale by owners. She bought a house. 4 months later, she made $85,000.
But I'm still jealous.
Then she went a month and a half later, made another $40,000. Now she's under contract with her third house. She's been with me for less than 10 months, and I think that house is $120,000. And then she just bought another one.
Yeah.
All it started with calling for sale by owners.
Yep.
With the right script and just talking to people.
Yep. And actually doing it.
She found her first house within a couple weeks.
Mm.
Now, obviously, there was a little bit of coaching in there because I had to help her with some of her language, but we fixed that stuff in the script now. So a lot of that stuff is in the script.
Oh.
So if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff, it's there already.
Always refining.
Right? Number 2, all you need, like we talked about, is $100 to consummate a deal. So first of all, you have to have the option. You have to understand what an option agreement is, and you have to understand it's a 1 or 2 page document, depending on how you use it. Once you understand what the $100 option actually is and how to use it, you draft this document, which literally takes minutes. You give the person $100 to consummate the deal, and you're done.
Yeah. Don't think it's hard because you don't use the word option in your daily language and it's a funny word. It's 2 syllables. It's not a weird word. It just means you can. You don't have to, but you might.
Right.
That's all it is.
Right. Number 3. Oh, this is beautiful. I'm in a moment of glory here.
How my ears doing?
Your closings don't cost more than $100.
Oh.
How much is the closing for the house we're doing right now? The lawyer alone is what, $700-800?
Yeah, sure.
And then there's conveyance taxes.
Well, that's the second closing. We had a first one to buy it and one to sell it. Yeah, there's 2 closings.
So you're going to do both your closings, buying and selling, for less than $100. How's that?
That's a good one.
Right. Number 4. If you do like I show you to do, you won't need more than $100 to file the deed. If you get a deed. Now I'm talking about a subject to or a getting the deed deal, which is my favorite.
Yeah.
I went probably 12 years not doing this one thing, and I paid anywhere from $800 to $2,000 to file paperwork.
The file, really?
Yeah, because you got to pay conveyance tax.
Yeah.
And then I figured out by accident one day how to do it, and it cost me like $70. Every one of those filings I do now cost me. It depends on what city I'm in. $70, $50, $90, but it's always under $100.
Yeah.
So I got a house that I bought this year in Meriden. The lady gave me the house, $164,000 mortgage, which is down to like $158 now, right?
Yep.
She signed 6 documents, right? I went to the town hall. I filed one of those documents, and it cost me $70. No deposit, no down payment.
Why no conveyance taxes? You didn't own it yet.
Nope, because of the way I filled out the paperwork. It took me 12 years to figure that out, and I found out by accident how to do it.
Huh.
My point is that you can file paperwork for less than $100.
Yep.
So why is 100 so important? I mean, we're not getting that many views this morning because it's like my titles and I guess are not sexy enough or whatever. But think about what I'm telling you. What are people actually missing right now by not listening to this podcast?
Well, all the things you can do
For $100.
Yeah. Or less.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you missed. Or less.
Yeah.
They want to spend 100. Oh, it's or less. Okay, honey, we'll listen to it now. Maybe it's only 80. We can afford 80.
It's okay. There's a couple things that we talked about in here that we're going to give to Ivan, my marketing guy, and he's going to rip it apart and flip it all over Facebook. So I'm okay with what we're doing.
Okay.
All right, number 5. Another glorious moment. So we have a guy we're working with, Dave. He was on the podcast with us a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Has to be a realtor. He's just convinced that that's where he has to be. How much did it cost him to become a realtor?
Oh, $2,000?
Yeah.
Right.
That's to get started.
Yeah.
And in Connecticut, which is a flippin' joke, he had to go to something like, I think, 9 or 11 weeks of training. They're up to something like 40 hours of training.
Well, I would hope you'd have some training if you're going to be doing that.
So here's the deal. I went through the training.
Oh, yeah.
Some years ago.
Yeah.
How long does it take you to teach people that you can't steal the deposit, and here's how to fill out a purchase and sales contract? That's really all they teach. They don't teach you how to sell. They don't teach you how to negotiate. They don't teach you how the whole system works. In other words,
all the parts.
How to find sellers, how to find buyers. They don't teach you how to do what at what time, how to negotiate with repairs. They don't teach you any of that stuff. Now, some big realtor firms do that internally. That's why they survive.
No, well, nowadays when people get out of school, high school or college, and wind up getting a job, They get trained on the job
Right.
because they walk in there not knowing their deal, how to function correctly or read. I don't know, and they have to be trained at work. So it's not surprising that you go to a realtor and they look at you and go, "Oh boy," and they got to train you.
Exactly.
But that's not there, unfortunately.
My point is what did the $2,000 do for you?
What the what?
What did the $2,000 investment do for you?
Yeah, we can learn that watching one of your videos.
So I was just going to say that's one of the things you can do. Is, in fact, I meant to do this before the show. What is the URL for the deal hunting special that we're doing right now? The holiday gift special.
We never set a scope of one. It's random number 2 buttons.
Okay. So it's-
XBUTLQMSD 449.
But now I can change it.
No, what is the
The normal one is deal hunting.
yeah, so if you go to flippinghouses4rookies.com and go on the top right or all the way to the bottom of the page, you go to courses, look for deal hunting.
Or if you go to /deal hunting, it leads you to the right one.
That's what I was asking. So you can go to flippinghouses4rookies.com /deal hunting. And when you go into I think it's like $97 or something like that. If you type in to the coupon code holiday gift, and this is only going to be for a couple weeks. So, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast and you type it in and it's gone, that means the special's over. But if you type in holiday gift for like $37, I think, or $47 or whatever, we like took 62% off of the price. So for less than $100, you can learn how to do what we're talking about. Not soup to nuts, but at least get started.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need $2,000. I'm going to give you more than what the $2,000 investment to become a realtor is going to do. I'm going to give you way more for less than $100. Right? And then the best part is that once you spend the $100 with someone like me, and if you want to go find somebody else, that's fine. But I'm pretty concise on how I show it to you, right? Best part is that you won't need a real estate license to do this, because if you use options and do what I'm showing you to do, by virtue of using an option, you become an equity share in the property, and you can now sell the property without a license.
Mm.
So you don't need to go get a license to sell the property. Matter of fact, you're better off not to have a license, because you'll get away with more. You won't be restricted by the license, which is why I've never been licensed. So you're better off to not get a license, as far as I'm concerned. But you need to know how to use an option agreement. And if you don't want to spend the $37 or whatever it is, then go to flippinghouses4rookies.com, free stuff, and watch the videos. You know, there's a couple of videos. I mean, those videos are just showing you deal structuring and how you can structure the deal and what the results are and how you're going to make money. But at the end of the day, you need to know how to use an option. You need to know how to find your buyer, know how to find your seller, and know how to do the paperwork.
Mm-hmm.
You do those things, and you'll be fine.
Yep.
Right. And the last one, Peter, you won't need an attorney or a closing agent to close for you. How much do those cost?
Hundreds.
More than $100.
Mm-hmm. 7, 6, 7, 8.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I guess I'm kind of pitching my stuff today, which is not what we're here to do. But how to buy a house without a loan is normally $500.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to flippinghouses4rookies.com / buy without a loan, or just go to flippinghouses4rookies.com and go to the bottom to where it says courses, and you type in holiday gift, I'll give you 40% off. So it's normally $500. I'm giving you a couple $100 off. So for like $300, 200 and something, 90 something dollars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, regular Santa Claus, Bill.
I'm going to do it for the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Because it's Christmas when we're recording this. Now, if you're listening to this podcast and it's like spring of next year, and I'll tell you what I'll do.
Wait for Easter.
No, if you're listening to this and the coupon code doesn't work, send me an email Go to the top of flippinghousesforrookies.com. On the top, there's a support button. Click on the support button. Huh?
It says contact.
It says contact. Okay, or just type in flippinghousesforrookies.com/support.
Mm-hmm.
Send us a support ticket, and your chances are pretty high I'll send you the gift code anyways. Just because you're listening. Tell me that you're listening to podcast number 120. We're on 126, right, Em? Yeah, just put in your email. You listen to, podcast 126, and you're looking for the gift code. And chances are you'll get it anyways. But you're going to have to work for it. You have to email me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But really, Peter, where are you going to go? I mean, honestly, we've had over 800,000 people listening to these podcasts. And we're at the end of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I am working with Emma. We're going to actually restructure things because I think my stuff is just too cheap, and people aren't taking me seriously.
No, I was just going to say that.
We're going to go for $300 and go from it's the how to buy real estate without a loan is a checklist. You start from the beginning, and that's how Randy made all that money.
Yeah,
and it's not just her. We pick on her because she's a stay-at-home mom. We're going to do a meetup in a couple weeks, and I called 4 or 5 people that this year, right in my own town, like within a 10-mile radius,
mm-hmm.
have bought 2 houses or more, and are going to be on a panel helping other people in my community buy houses.
Yeah, it's like rookies helping the rookies.
Yeah, because they went through this course.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked.
No, the problem is you're trying to give a fair price because it doesn't like break your brains or your wallet to make some of these things and offer it at those prices, and it's a fair price. We've seen what other guys do.
Yep.
We go sometimes and just sit in to see what's happening out there, and it's thousands, and they don't get much.
$40,000.
Oh, well, I paid $300 for a weekend. I saw another guy $2,000 for the little weekend, from which they're going to sell you more stuff after that,
right.
And it's not enough to get you going. It's enough to get you thinking you've got it, but not knowing how to go.
Right.
And that's where I sat. That's why I'll be helping people at that meetup, because I sat there like, okay, I got all this information. What do I do?
Right.
What good is it? You have thousands of dollars of stuff in your hand, and you don't know where to start.
Right.
What good is that? So I wasn't happy with. I was smart enough to call you before I spent the $17,000. $17,000 that half the room ran to the front, grabbing for credit cards, licking a promise, and I don't know how they turned out. But
to talk to a coach for half an hour a week
for like some weeks, and we won't mention names, but you have a number of your students who have spent that money and didn't buy the house, and they're working with you and
they
buying
went through
houses.
the program and came to me and they bought houses.
Yeah, that's just a fact. It's not that we're smarter or that you're smarter. It's just that
I'm real.
Yeah, it's real and it's fair. And it's the real purpose is, we can't do this for free, but the real purpose is to help you actually buy the damn house.
Right.
Not just, we got some more people. They spent, how much did we make?
And I'm not nationwide. I'm not passing off. I actually do the coaching myself.
Yeah. And the data is not even incorrect on these guys, although it's inflated.
Yeah.
I watched one of those. How much you think you're going to make on a wholesale? $30,000 on a wholesale? You effing liar.
Right.
Sorry, you're lying.
Yeah, that works if you're in like,
no,
Mississippi in some little tiny town, and it worked once, but it's not going to work in L.A. It's not going to work in New York. It's definitely not going to work in Wallingford.
Well, if you had big properties, but they were passing off in regular, soup to nuts, little local houses like we all live in, they were just making crap up at that point. Tantalizing people's eyeballs. No names mentioned, not meant to criticize that, but it turned my stomach.
Yep.
To be honest, it just turned my stomach.
Yep.
I saw people running up there, and they didn't look like they have the money to waste either.
Nope.
They're normal people that can't waste money like that.
So the deal hunting course is actually $47 with a 62% discount. With the code holiday gift, brings it down to $17.
$17, Peter. $17.
I'll take 2, please.
Really, if you aren't going to spend $17, I've got over 800,000 listeners. If you're not going to spend $17 to go learn how to do deal hunting, or spend $300 to go, which by the way, the how to buy real estate without a loan not only shows you how to find the deals, it gives you all the scripts on how to talk to people on the phone,
yeah,
and then gives you scripts on how to talk to them when you're in the house,
yeah.
Gives you the forms to what to look for, and does all the repair formulas, so
Yep.
you know how much the repairs are.
Yep.
It shows you how to do all the paperwork. It gives you
The actual
lease,
contracts.
the actual contracts, the lease with the option. It gives you subject to paperwork. It gives you all the paperwork that you need for any house that you would buy for $100. Then I go through a complete module, or multiple modules on how I spend about $50 to advertise the house, and I get 100 phone calls. I get 20 or 30 people through the house, and I get 3 or 4 people that want to buy it.
Yep.
Where are you going to find that for $300? Matter of fact, I was thinking about putting one of my coaching clients wants to go on the road and do like do like the RIAs and stuff and sell it.
Yeah.
If I do that, then that course will definitely be $1,000 possibly too.
Oh, it has to be. It has to be a couple grand.
Yeah.
And
Because it's worth it. Every person that has gone through that course that actually bought it and went through that course has bought a house.
mm-hmm.
If they do it. The problem that I have is not everybody does it.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, I can control that to some point, but the real truth is everybody that goes through that course actually buys it because it's so simple. I break it down by the exact steps. All you got to do is just watch. And the videos, I think the longest video is 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It's not something you need to study for weeks and weeks and weeks. It's something you can do in a day or 2, in a weekend for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you watch a video a day, it'll take you a week, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
2, possibly.
Well, if you want to do this business, you should set a schedule and just set some time and just figure out a plan
Right.
and follow it. And it'll start with just learning. It'll follow up with marketing. It'll follow up with finding deals. It'll follow up with buying them. It'll follow up with selling them right in sequence.
Right.
That's how it goes.
And if you think that Peter and I are here trying to sell you a course, the joke's on you.
Because Bill doesn't give me any money for this.
No, he doesn't. Peter doesn't get any money. And quite honestly, if you think $300 is going to change my life, you know what, Peter? Here's my saying.
What?
I'm going to eat steak whether they buy that course or not.
Yep.
Because I make my money on flipping houses.
Mm-hmm.
I lose money on flipping houses too. Like right now that we're in a cash crunch because I'm holding a bunch of properties, but that doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of a sudden, 2 or 3 houses will sell and fill out the checkbook, and it doesn't matter if I sell 1 course or no courses.
Yeah.
Right? Emma gets paid, I get paid, you get paid, whenever you're part of the deals, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's not about the money, but it is about changing their lives.
Yep.
And you know what? The reason why I go on this rant is because I feel like I've given the Real Estate Investing Society a huge gift, several gifts. This podcast alone, 126 shows of us volunteering our time to help people buy and sell real estate. Who does that? The only other one that's bigger than us is Bigger Pockets. They're at 200 and something shows, and they don't do what we do. They interview people and do all kinds of stuff. They bounce around. We just started a podcast about a month ago called Flipping Houses Startup Bootcamp. And we take you through a series step by step on how to buy houses. Who's doing that? I don't care where you go. Go on the internet.
No, I've
Go on
gone.
iTunes.
I've gone. I joined this, joined that, and you're looking. There's a long list of videos, audios, forms, and you can't tell where to start. I looked at it, I just stared, and I just went numb. I couldn't. I can't learn like that because I know better. I am an educator, and you know a lot about learning. So between the two of us, we try to make this formulated so that you just start at step 1, step 2, step 3.
Right.
Find that somewhere.
And it frustrates people like us because, like, right now, there's nobody listening to us. Like, we're on Facebook Live. They all left because they think we're trying to sell them something. And it's such a joke.
But maybe
because
they left to go place their order.
I don't know. It's such a joke because, really, those are suspects to me.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to go do a couple things, me, when I decide I want to do something, ask Emma. I'm a lunatic.
Yeah.
I buy books. I go to the library. I go online. I download shit. I just absorb myself in it so I can understand it.
I got some data, and I don't remember where. Maybe you can clarify this for me. But it's like the difference between really successful people and just a regular guy on the street. The difference was the successful person, when he got an idea, he implemented it immediately.
Right.
He didn't think about it, do more research. I'm researching. No, you're wasting your time.
Right.
You're lying to yourself that you're too scared to make. Just make a move.
Right.
You know, making one move doesn't commit you to the rest of the moves. Make a move.
Right.
You know, find out that you can make a move and not die. Then make a second move. Find out you didn't die then either.
It's interesting what you say, because I have it's the end of the show, so I'll try to make it
The show
quick,
isn't ending, Bill, because we're on a rant. I'm ranting too, Bill.
So the point is this. When you think, you're thinking.
Yeah.
Really what you're doing is you're scanning all of your past unpleasant, unsuccessful experiences. That's what you remember.
Mm-hmm.
When you just act and just innately or inherently do something, you're implementing what you know. So there's a difference between knowing and thinking. Thinking is scanning all of your experiences in your mind that didn't work out so well. When you just do it, you know, and you're confident. I mean, think of this. This is how I'm going to end the show. Do you think that a bird, when he lands on a limb on a tree, is worried about whether that limb is going to break or not?
No.
Because he's confident, or the bird is confident, that their wings and their ability to fly is fine. They don't have nothing to worry about. So are they worried about breaking the limb? Are they worried about what happens to the limb when they land on it? No, they have plenty of confidence that no matter what happens, they'll be fine. Because they can flap their wings and they can fly, or they can do it. They have this, so their confidence is in their ability, not the limb.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. So with that, we're over and out.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.